Would you consider yourself someone who's spontaneous, does things in the last minute, gets sudden impulses to do random things, procrastinates all the time and gets distracted, feels overwhelmed and overstimulated by other things when you're supposed to be doing something else? Well, hi there. We might be the same person. I lived in a constant loop of last-minute scrambles, messy desks, and to-do lists that never left my brain. I was the definition of chaotic. But being chaotic doesn't mean you're lazy. It just means your brain runs faster than your systems. And for a long time, I was sprinting without any shoes. When it comes to being organized, I believe that chaos and organization aren't mutually exclusive. The problem is that a lot of times people try to substitute this chaos with organized, slow living. However, what if, hear me out, instead of trying to organize your life, you organized the chaos? Chaos isn't a flaw, it just means that your mind is active and constant and fast moving, and organization is a way to just harness that energy. And it's not about becoming a different person, it's about just building a system that works with your brain and not against it. When you give your chaos a home, like a routine, you free up mental space and reduce stress, allowing you to do the things that you need to be doing. You don't have to kill the chaos, just contain it. Think of it like a wild river. You're not drying it up, you're building banks around it so that it flows in a useful direction. Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Navya. I'm currently a psychology student at university. I enjoy making videos and this is my platform for creative expression. If you're new here, I hope you consider subscribing. It would help me out so much. In this video, I'm going to be talking about how to navigate that chaos and actually get things done without feeling so overwhelmed all the time. This didn't happen overnight. I tried and failed at finding new systems until I found something that clicked. It's about experimenting until something sticks. Well, let's get into it. When I talk about being a chaotic person, I don't necessarily mean on the outside. My mind is chaotic, but if my environment is also chaotic, that double chaos can get so distracting and overwhelming. So in order to not reflect my brain in my environment, I like to keep my room organized. And by that, I mean there is a space for everything. If I wanted to find my hairbrush, I would know where it is. If I wanted to find a specific top, I would know where that is. If I wanted to find my favorite cap, I would know exactly where that is. It's even applicable to smaller things. I know exactly where my pens are, my bracelets, my journal. There is a place for everything. Because if there wasn't, I'd be spending so much time trying to find something in the clutter that by the end of it, I would probably just give up. When it comes to deadlines, have you always thought of yourself as that person who does things in the last minute, works better under pressure and yada yada? Well, I get you. But I learned how to use that to my advantage. Create a personal deadline 1 week before the actual deadline. But don't overdo it. Don't make it too soon and don't schedule too many things. Just one fake deadline and work towards it. But we'll call it a personal deadline so that you don't associate it with it being fake. Especially when it comes to tasks that don't have a deadline, create one and put it on your Google Calendar or whatever physical calendar you might use so that it is there. For example, instead of thinking I have to get X subs by 3 months, I just give myself a weekly Sunday deadline so that I can get a video up. That way, on Monday, I'm not stressing about getting a video up on that day. Sometimes doing something for a few hours once a week works better than chipping away at it daily, especially for chaotic brains that thrive on momentum. Sometimes the more often we feel like we have to try, the more often we fail. I don't believe in scheduling every second of your day. Some people might say it works for them because they know exactly what they need to be doing at every second of the day. For me, that never works because it makes me anxious if I'm not doing something at the right time of day and kind of makes me feel like I don't have that much freedom because it becomes too strict. Instead of strict time blocking like study from 10 to 11, I just give myself 2 or 3 tasks a day. And for me, that gives me direction without pressure. A strict schedule might also be a bit much because missing a specific time block task would destroy my confidence and throw me off for the rest of the day, causing me to give up completely. Perfectionism is a bitch. When it comes to making these personal deadlines, especially if you're someone who likes to go at something in one go compared to multiple tiny bursts, I think that it's a good idea to motivate yourself throughout that journey until a personal deadline so that when you are giving it a shot, you're giving you your all. For example, if you're trying to study for a test and you've got a personal deadline 2 weeks before the actual test, motivate yourself towards that deadline. Spend a few days familiarizing yourself with the topics that you have to study and find ways to motivate yourself to enjoy them. Like listening to recorded lectures, videos, podcasts about that topic, or even just motivational podcasts, videos, and even Pinterest to help build that motivation so you can go at it in a short amount of time. But personal deadlines only work if you treat them like real ones, because if you don't take them seriously, they lose all their power. By building motivation before the real push, you're priming your brain to care, because that way, when the time comes, you're ready to give it your all. However, there are smaller things that you will just never be motivated to do, like daily chores, cooking your dinner, washing the dishes. In these cases, I find small ways to motivate myself. Like, I love listening to music, so listening to music while washing the dishes makes it easier. Or watching a YouTube video or listening to a podcast while cooking also makes that easier. The goal is to get things done, and if you're able to find ways that motivate you to get these things done, that's fantastic. It's just about using ways to make the little things less boring or painful. I really believe in using visualization, especially for bigger tasks. I know in one of my other videos I've spoken about breaking a large task into smaller tasks, but I also believe in looking at the big picture from time to time. Like, I'm going to study on Friday, and why should I study? Because I'm going to want to be educated so that I can get the job that I want, so that I can ultimately live the life that I want. However, I do know that sometimes the tasks might not have a direct step towards your dream life, but there are always ways to find out why it's there in the first place. Like, I need to study for this exam, but I hate this A-level, but ultimately it's going to get me to the university that I want, studying the course that I want to be studying, so I'm going to do it. Just try to think about what that one thing could mean for your future and why you're doing it. And that is something I do during the motivation stage of any project or task. Something I do very often is actually just use Pinterest. I feel like sometimes it's hard to imagine what doing something now could mean for your future when your present doesn't really look like it. And that's where vision boards help so much. They give you a vision into the life or year that you want to be living. They definitely help you visualize it and start to yearn for it. But if you're like me and you can't be bothered to print stuff and you don't like sticking stuff to your walls, Pinterest is just an easy alternative. I know that's also one of the biggest powers of YouTube, having easy access to being able to see anyone else living their lives. For me, I feel that Pinterest works better than YouTube for visualization because it's more calming and less comparison heavy. But if that doesn't work for you, there are always other alternatives like journaling or vision boards. A tip that I saw on a different video that actually really stuck with me was to do things the night before. If you're the kind of person that hates waking up for a 9 a.m. lecture, get your outfit out the night before, keep your shoes ready, pack your bag. I feel like for me, this is something I just left behind in middle school. Like, when did I stop packing my bag the night before? But even now, I think it's so helpful to just think about what you're going to cook the next day. Is there anything you need to be buying? Is there any outfit that you need to be wearing? Are you supposed to go anywhere? It's just so helpful to think about it the night before, because then it's just less overwhelming the next day. Lastly, know that you don't have to be perfect all the time. If you aren't able to do something on one day, don't let it stop you from not doing it the next day. Life's unpredictable, and if you give up the moment something changes, we will never get very far. Well, that is all I have for you today. Those are my tips on how I get things done as a chaotic person. If even one thing clicked for you, that's a win, and I'd love to see how you guys get things done in the comments below. I post every week, and it would help me out so much if you guys would consider subscribing, and I will see you next week. Bye!